Hello, hello, and welcome. We are live here for the first episode of Tiger Vision. I am your host, Mondre Allen, here from Love of the Game Network, and I'll be your host for Tiger Vision with your newly minted head coach, Coach Cabral Huff. Coach, how you doing?
I'm great, man. Living a dream. Excited about what's going on down here in Denmark, South Carolina. We've had a great last 24 hours, so this just kind of culminates those last 24 hours, you know?
I'd say so, Coach. You've had a great start, a great jump out on your 2020 or the end of your 2020 season going into 2021. Things are definitely looking up. But Coach, a whirlwind of a year, right? You start 2020 wrapping up a Georgia high school basketball season, and COVID hits, and you're thrust into a lot of different leadership roles during COVID, helping manage or helping guide Georgia basketball through COVID. And then all of a sudden you find yourself as the head coach of the Voorhees Tigers. Coach, I got to ask you this. When the clock struck 12 and it was 2020, officially January 1, did you envision yourself as a college coach at that time?
Honestly, I did not. My plan was to, do the best job I could at Holy Innocents Episcopal School. As you said, going into that season, we were trying to turn it around. We were coming out of December struggling a little bit. We had some changes, and we thrust through and ended up getting to the Elite Eight. And I'll tell anybody, we were 3 minutes away from shocking the world versus my former school, St. Francis. I still, to this day, say if my player doesn't get hurt, we shock the world and win that game. And then, obviously, right after that, COVID hits right after the state championships, and it kind of changed everything. It put everybody into a different pattern. I was able to connect with a lot of people during the time period of COVID. And I think that's kind of what led to this situation here. The people that I was able to connect with, the situations I was able to grow from, the situations that I was able to put myself in front of people during this time led to where I am right now. But you got to understand that journey, man. That journey is long, it's tedious. A lot of times, many people don't even understand what you got to go through to get to where you are right now. And it's still not over. There are going to be peaks and valleys right now, but I'm excited, man. That whirlwind this first week and a half has been great. I don't want to even talk about – there's nothing bad to say. I can tell you nothing bad to say. I don't care how much work I got to do. There's nothing bad to say.
100%, Coach. Want to talk about how we got to this point, and then we'll get into your vision and your plan for at Voorhees. But to me, the journey, as you said, started during COVID. You were thrust into a lot of different leadership roles, helping guide Georgia. I remember a lot of Zoom sessions, a lot of calls, getting people together, trying to unite people here or here back home in the state of Georgia. When we had Ahmaud Arbery pass away with his killing, you had George Floyd, those things. Kind of talk about what it means to you to be at a HBCU after having those leadership responsibilities in our state and across the country.
Well, it actually goes back further than that, Mondre. As a graduate of Morehouse College, the HBCU tradition runs through my veins. Then having been an assistant coach at Alcorn State in Lorman, Mississippi, was another reason what made being at an HBCU so attractive. I think with what has gone on in society, what is going on in the world, it made me want it even more, to be honest with you. It made me want to see HBCUs understood, if that makes sense. And what I mean by that is so people can see us that we're the same institution as a PWI. Nothing changes. We have the same battles And I'll take it at the D1 level. The same battles that your lower level D1 schools are going through, maybe in the ASUN, in the Big South, are the same struggles that those schools in the SWAC and MEAC are going through. The same struggles that, some of the schools in the CIAA in Division II or the SIAC in Division II are the same struggles that maybe the Gulf Coast, or some other conferences may go through. It's all about budgets. It's all about administrations. It's all about, can you get people behind your program? Do you have a great alumni base? Do you have the opportunity to have a vision for a program, build it, and make it better than when you came in and better when you leave? Because eventually you're going to leave. Either you're going to get fired or you're going to get a better job. I think that's the realization of college basketball, and I'm okay with that. So my job is to make Voorhees better in every way. And Coach Mitchell, the guy I'm replacing, did an absolutely great job in what he was able to do during that time. But I think we stand at a time in history where we've got to understand the importance of a HBCU, the importance of why they were founded and why they're still around even today.
100% right, Coach. I think one of the things that I want to make sure that doesn't get overshadowed, as we'll get to your vision, what you do on campus at Voorhees, but also what you bring to the table off campus at Voorhees in the community as well. Like I said, you've been such a leader here in the state of Georgia with the Georgia Minority Coaches Association, making sure the camps are run correctly, and getting NCAA or college teams to come in and get kids looks in the summertime. What will your connection be to the high schools around the Denmark area and in South Carolina as a whole?
They've got to know who Voorhees is. They've got to know what we're about. They've got to know who I am. And it's not just about recruiting. It's just about relationships. I mean, you know me pretty well, Mondre, and know that it's not just about, can I get a kid at Voorhees, but it's about, can I help that kid get somewhere, even if Voorhees is not the place for him. So that's my charge here, not just in Denmark, but the surrounding areas. We're 30 minutes from Orangeburg. We're about an hour and 15, hour 30 from Charleston, an hour from Columbia. I've already hit the ground running. I've been to some schools already in the area, and I'm going to continue to be in some schools in the area because they've got to know the Voorhees Tigers. They've got to know Tiger Vision. They've got to know about committing to the V and what we have to offer here in little old Denmark, South Carolina, as our president, Dr. W. Evans says, little old Denmark, South Carolina.
100%, Coach. 100%. We're definitely excited for what you're about to do, Coach. As you were going through the summer, one event happened that kind of took place that I didn't realize was foreshadowing at the time, but maybe it was a little foreshadowing or inspiring for you. When I look at Bucky McMillan getting hired as the head coach at Samford, did anything strike into you at that moment to say, hey, you know what? I'm at that level of, I'm one of those nationally respected high school coaches. Maybe I can do this as well.
It's funny you mentioned that because I remember when that happened, I had a conversation with Mark Byington, who was my former boss at Georgia Southern. And he said, if Bucky can do it, Cabral, you can do it. I've been around you. I know what you're about. It's your time. At that time, I just thought he meant in the future sometime. But it sparked something in me that began to where I started preparing myself for the opportunity. Never knew the opportunity was about to be around the corner. But I prepared myself for it. And that's what I can tell any young man that thinks they want to play at the next level in college, any coach that's out there that wants to play or wants to coach at the next level or even coach in high school, and they may not be there right now. You've got to prepare for the level that you want to get to, and you got to prepare every day for it. There cannot be a day that you don't prepare for that journey that's next. It's almost like the saying that says you got to dress for the job that you want, not the job that you have.
100%. Coach, I've heard a lot of different things that coaches say that they do to try to prepare. You and I know Chad Dollar very well. Chad Dollar says he wakes up and he gets in the mirror and he pretends that he was in the huddle with his team drawing up plays. Are there any particular things that you did as you prepare for this moment, not knowing that it was even going to be available to you?
I mean, I think anybody that knows me knows, number one, I watch players all the time. So I was always had an eye on different guys, and I would say, okay, at this level, yes, I would get him at this level. So those kind of things were almost paramount. But I was also, listening to coaches, listening to podcasts, listening to them talk, reaching out to coaches, just kind of talking through them about their journey and what they did right, what they did wrong, what they would do different. I was already formulating my plan of action of what I would do once I got on campus, what I would do once I went to an interview, what I really wanted my program to stand for. So when that time came, it was just about putting it to fruition, putting it on paper, getting it done. So it wasn't anything that I kind of had to reinvent a wheel. It was already there because I spent a lot of time, because we had so much time during the pandemic, of really digging in to say, not just for a college program, but I was kind of reinventing what I wanted to do even at the high school level. And it just kind of escalated to that college level.
100%. Coach, what the process of you getting there at Voorhees, from the time you were first contacted all the way through, what were some of your thoughts as you were going through and you found out that this opportunity not only was available, but you had an opportunity to become the next head coach at Voorhees?
Number one, it's a blessing, man. I will tell anybody, especially as an African-American male, the opportunity to be a CEO of your program at any level in college is something I don't take lightly. I don't think anybody else should. It's why I'm sitting here right now. I think when you talk about that process from the initial phone call to the next step of a Zoom interview, because we were in COVID, and that was kind of spaced out, so I'm literally preparing my team. I'm going to the season. Like, I got to be ready for us to be better than going to the Elite Eight, to getting that Zoom interview, to then becoming one of the finalists where I have to come down to Denmark, South Carolina, and preparing for that, to getting that phone call that says, we want you to be the next head coach at Voorhees College, and realizing that this is a dream that I've always had. I don't know if a lot of people can say that. Some people try to say they don't have that dream, but I've always had that dream of becoming a head coach at the collegiate level, and really just honoring my parents, man. My mom was never able to see me coach a game as a head coach at the varsity level, and my dad only got to see it for a season. So I think everything that I do since that point, since the first time I became a head coach, is what has kind of gotten me to this point, to make sure they can look down and say they're proud of their son and how I'm impacting the young people that I'm blessed to serve.
100%. For all those online that are still watching, Coach Huff, we will take some questions live. So if you haven't interacted with us on the Love of the Game Network previously, you can type in your questions into the comment section, and we'll discuss and we'll ask some of those questions live during the show. So feel free to engage with us in the comments and get your questions answered live from the coach. Coach, I want to go back to that process. You mentioned, the time period between of being interviewed to actually knowing that you were the guy. What were some of your thoughts when you first took that first tour of campus or first drove around campus? Did you have any moments between the first interview and your time you got the job of, wow, man, this could really be real, or I could really, really get this done here?
I would lie to you if I said you're not apprehensive a little bit, because you want the job, but you're asking yourself, are they going to give me that opportunity? So honestly, probably before I did even a Zoom interview, I just one day took a drive down here, so I could already see campus. I was mentally preparing myself before I even got to an on-campus interview. So I knew where I was going. I knew how far I was from Atlanta. I knew what I was walking into, and I did my research. Obviously Coach Mitchell did a great job, but I did my research on the athletic director. We have a great athletic director here, Miss Charlene Johnson, who was a former athletic director at the Division I level at South Carolina State. We always talk about networking, and I think that's probably the wrong term. I think it's really about genuine relationships. And to understand that I'm not sitting here if the baseball coach, the current baseball coach at Voorhees, he and I worked together at Dutchtown High School in 2004.
Wow.
Or the athletic director here worked with two guys I worked with at Georgia Southern. Those are little things that a lot of people don't understand. So every time you do something, everywhere you go, every interaction that you make, I don't want to say it's a job interview, but it's a first impression that sometimes can leave a lasting impression. So you've got to build those authentic relationships. And so that's part of why I'm sitting here, and I think about that drive down for that final interview. And a lot of times we're always wondering, well, who's the other candidate? And to be honest with you, Mundra, I didn't care who the other candidate was. I knew I was the right candidate. And I just wanted them to understand that I was the right candidate and I was perfect for this job to lead us the next few years, the next 10 years, the next 20 years, however long it may be here in Denmark, South Carolina at Voorhees College.
Powerful, powerful. Coach, we got some questions starting to come in. Before we get to some of the great times, the great night that you had last night, we'll get some questions here from James Williams. Will your coaching philosophy change now that you can go out and find kids that fit your system?
I heard something this morning, James, that actually really stuck with me. It says your beliefs can never change. So with my coaching philosophy, maybe the style of play a little bit, maybe that we'll temper that a little bit. But my beliefs will never change. We're going to be about family. You know, I think that's one of the big things. That's why I want to be at a HBCU, because a HBCU, number one, regardless of athletics, is about not just the next 4 years, but the next 40 years. And that's what our program is going to be about. We're going to be about love and grace. I'm going to coach them hard as hell now, but I'm going to love them hard as hell. And we got to have grace. You know, we understand that not only at our level, at the NAIA level, we get kids who may transfer in from other institutions. They may not be perfect, but we aren't perfect as coaches as well. So we've got to have that grace with each other to understand we're not perfect, that we're not going to call a perfect play. They're not going to play a perfect game. But that can only come if we have truth and trust. So I've got to build relationships with my guys stronger than anything that they've ever had. That's more than transactional relationships. It's got to be more than about how many wins they can help me get. But it's more about how I can transform them into to be the best man that they can be on and off the court, but also transform this program and this culture of what we're trying to build. And lastly, we're going to be a star where our feet are planted at. Like, my job is to go get players that are better than our level. And I want them to have a chip on their shoulder. Like, I want them to say, I'm better than supposed to be playing NAIA. That's fine. However, this is where we are, and I'm going to recruit them, and I'm going to get them to come here. And once we get them to come here, they're going to play with that chip on their shoulder, knowing I'm better than whoever else is in front of me. And that's going to help us win. So that coaching philosophy is not going to change right there, James. As far as how we're going to play, we're going to have pace and space. I believe in having playmakers and monsters, because we're going to have positionless basketball. You're either a playmaker or you're a monster. So we're going to figure it out. You know, I pretty much know what you are coming in, but you got to figure out how you can make plays for yourself or for others. And are you a monster? That means you're around that rim, eating everything up on the offensive and defensive end. We're going to push the ball. Like I said, we're going to play with some pace and with some space. Defensively, we're going to get after it. You know, we're going to try to press. We're going to do some things that really, we want people to not attack the middle on us. I think that's an easy way to let people make plays on us. So we want to make sure that we limit ball reversals. We limit uncontested threes. The one thing about walking into a program after Coach Derek Mitchell is they play hard, they compete, and they play defense. And Mundra, I know you saw that on film just like I did.
100%.
I just have to tweak some things. It's not like I'm walking into a program that hasn't won 178 wins the last 10 years, which puts us 8th in all of HBCU basketball, no matter what division we're talking about. So it's my job to just turn it up a notch. Take what Coach Mitchell did, and we're just going to turn that fire up a notch.
100%. Absolutely established a great tradition of basketball there. A lot of length, A lot of athleticism, guys flying around. They're used to flying around and getting after it. So a good group of kids that you're walking into. Great question here. As a graduate of Voorhees, what can alumni do to help you be successful?
Number one, as a graduate, I want to see you in the gym. I want you to get in the gym. Obviously, with COVID, it may not be as much this year, but I want to see all these alumni in the gym. I want to see you out. You know, homecoming is basketball time here. We don't have football, so it's homecoming. When we get back to homecoming next year, I need to see all those alumni out. But what we need to do to help alumni, to help us be successful, is pass the word on to someone else. Pass the word on to some other alumni that you know about how we can help, not just basketball, but can help Voorhees College as a whole and the Voorhees College athletic program. Like, there's some things that we really need to get done down here. And if we can get it done, it's going to require the help of every alumni that we have. And, you know, I heard a coach at another HBCU use this. And, you know, as a basketball coach, there's nothing that you don't steal if it works, right? So he said, if every alumni thought about giving $20 a month, imagine what that would do for your program, your athletic program, your basketball program. It can change what many make it perceive as not the best facilities to great facilities, to having great amenities, to having those new uniforms that other people may be wearing, to having the state-of-the-art equipment to video games, whatever, to having a true baseball field that can really be top of the line. Those are the things that we need alumni to do. We need them to get behind our programs. We need them to get behind all our coaches and our athletic staff, our AD, and get behind the school. And really, let's pour into these student athletes that we're blessed to serve. Because ironically, especially with us and a lot of other HBCUs, they haven't been on campus this whole semester. So imagine what we're going to need once we get them back on campus. We're going to need you, alumni. So look forward to hearing from me a lot, especially as head of athletic fundraising.
Great question. Locke says that you're playing chess, getting kids to commit after only being on the job 2 weeks. Locke, we're going to get to the commitments. He's certainly done extremely well. So for the alumni that are on right now, hang on for a few more minutes and you'll get a look at some of the kids that have already committed to join this fantastic program. Chad Cook here. Heard some neat things about the NAIA tournament, how it's a week-long 24/7 basketball, 24/7 basketball marathon. What are your chances of getting to be a part of the national tournament soon?
Chad, that's a great question. I think it's so unique about the NAIA and their tournament is that you're playing like 5 games in 6 days. Every team is playing on the same floor. You're not at different places. You have to have depth. So you've got to be, you know, ready for that marathon of that week to really get through it. What are our chances? I wouldn't be me if I didn't say I wanted to walk into it and we get there right now. So that's our chances right there, Chad. I like what we have coming back on our squad. You know, we've got 8 guys that are coming back from 6 guys and 2 incoming freshmen that Coach Mitchell brought in. So 6 guys that are coming back from a team that won 19 games last year. A few of those guys were on the team that won the tournament, the conference tournament, to get to the national tournament 2 years ago. So that's our goal. I don't think if you got to have substantial goals, and our goal every year, number one, is to win our conference, and our next goal is to get to the tournament. I think once we get to the tournament, now let's roll the ball out and let's see what we got to do. We know how talented a lot of the NAIA schools are, and I can go down a list of them from Georgetown in Kentucky, you know, to the School of the Ozarks, to Washington Adventist, to Dalton State. You know, there are a list of them. Stillman, Talladega, Edward Ward. I can go down a list of schools who are great at what they do. So it will not be easy. It will be challenging. So that means, as much as I know X's and O's, I got to get Jimmy's and Joe's. And I think we've got a great start of that so far with what happened last night.
100%. 100%. Yes, sir. Thanks for checking in, Chad Cook. Great to hear from you, sir. Chad does a fantastic job for AUG basketball. Coach, let's get to, while we talk about players that are coming in, I want to give people an understanding of not just who you have, because you don't just recruit good players. You've also been known to coach and develop some great players as well. Players seem to stretch or maximize their potential under your tutelage. So I want to pop this graphic up here and let's talk a little bit about some of the players that you've been able to coach over the years.
Well, that's a great list right there. And that's just some of the guys that I've, had the opportunity to be blessed to coach. Obviously at the top is Malik Beasley, who's in the NBA with the Minnesota Timberwolves. And a great story about him is that he was 5'10" as a freshman. The eighth, ninth guy coming off the bench. As a sophomore, he's our leading scorer, and still nobody's recruiting him. To the time when CY walks in the gym, and I say, CY, if you walk out this gym without recruiting Malik Beasley, you're going to be mad at yourself. And there's the story about Malik Beasley. You can go to Kobe Simmons, who's with the Charlotte Hornets right now, who played at Arizona, who is one of the few players that can say 4 years in high school, they played for a state championship all 4 years. There are not a lot of players that can say that. Kaiser Gates, who's with the main Red Claws of the G League in the Boston Celtics organization. Adam Flagler, who played for me at Duluth High School, had one college scholarship, Division I college scholarship coming out of high school, blows up his freshman of the year at Presbyterian, dropped 29 versus UCLA, 20-something versus Marquette, and lo and behold, he's at Baylor. So we can talk about all those, D1 guys going on to Josh Coleman, who was at Coastal Carolina, Jordan Jones, who was at Kennesaw State, James Banks, who started at Texas, went to Georgia Tech, and even Devin Evans, who's now at University of Nebraska, Omaha. But I look at those two guys at the bottom. I look at Connor Smith, who went to Oglethorpe and had a great career, which is a D3 program. And I look at Jalen Hodges, who first went to Wallace State JUCO, then went to Florida Tech, and he's now at the NAIA program right now. It's all about the development of our guys. We got to find them. We got to recruit them. We got to sign them, and then we got to develop them. Those are the 4 things that myself and when I get my staff on board are going to be able to do.
100%. Those are guys that you were able to get and develop from the high school and create great college players, guys who were ready to play right away. But you've also developed some guys at the college level because a lot of people don't know that you had some stints as a college coach, as an assistant already. Let's take a look at this graphic.
Obviously we walked into a situation at Alcorn State under Montez Robinson. Shout out to Coach Tez. I'm not sitting here without him and Coach Byington, to be honest with you, and the staffs that we had, Coach Ireland, Coach Dixon, Coach Kane, Coach Wilson. But at Alcorn State, the year before we got there, Devontae Hampton and Tamarcio Wilson were 2 guards who came off the bench, started some games, but like Devontae averaged 3.8 points a game, 1.4 assists. You see his shooting percentage from 3. Tamarcio, 5.6 points a game, 0.9 assists. And we just got in the gym. I was over the guards in the wings, and we just got in the gym, and they got better, to where Devontae ended up averaging almost 9 points a game. His percentage from 3 went from 25% to almost 32%, where Tamarcio went from 5.6 points a game to 12.2. He goes from a guy nobody knew to going to be all conference. And it all just came from work. And it's the same kind of work we're going to put in here at Voorhees. The same kind of work we're going to put in the weight room. The same kind of work we're going to put in the classroom. The best thing about Tamarcio I can say is he graduated. He had a chance to go play overseas. And then he went back to Alcorn State and Montez Robinson last year to be an assistant. So when I talk about that family and I talk about it's not about just the 4 years you're playing, but about the 40 years, that's a prime example of what I'm talking about.
100%. A lot of hard work that gets put in. I hope those guys, current Voorhees players, are ready. Those practices are going to be pretty early this coming season, are they not, Coach?
They're going to be early, but it's all about a mental aspect that we want to create, that chip on our shoulder. So to keep that chip on our shoulder, to create that mentality that we got to have, let's practice at 5:30 in the morning. We get our practice in, we get our individual development in, we go eat breakfast as a team, and then they've got class, and we're going to be checking class. But that gives them the rest of the day to do what they need to do. But we're running this not as an NAIA program. We're running this as we're a high major Division I program. You know, we had a guy come visit on campus, and we kind of broke down to him what his days would look like. And he'll tell you there's not going to be a lot of free time for you to just do what you want to do. There's going to be work. There's going to be film sessions. There's going to be weight room sessions. There's going to be study hall. All those things matter. And those are the things that we're going to be having in place here at Voorhees College.
100%. I've been fortunate enough to attend several practices. You're one of the few coaches that always combine skill development even into your normal practice. So I can't imagine being able to do that and combine that with having individual workouts. I hope those guys are ready to get better, because that's exactly what's going to happen when they put that much time in.
Listen, I told those guys, current players, guys I'm recruiting, if you're worried about what our gym looks like, now, I love it. Old school gets packed out, it gets loud, I'm fine. But if you're worried about what our gym looks like, if you're worried about that we're not in a metropolitan city, then you don't need to be at Voorhees anyway. But if you want to come and get better, if you want to put that work in, if you want to get developed, and most important, you want to win with a great group of guys, then you need to bring your butt down to Denmark, South Carolina. And we can take you to Tootless Chicken, and we can take you to get some good food around some great people, and we can win some ball games.
We got more questions coming in, Coach. We're having a real good time in the comment section. Everybody's enjoying it. Great question here from Bryce B. Will. What up? What time does Fried Chicken Wednesdays on campus start?
Whenever you get here, B. Will, I'll make sure it's ready for you.
Locke is sending out threats about getting Voorhees gear. We didn't get shirts from Holy Innocents. We need some gear.
Now I can send you gear that you can wear on the show. How about that?
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. We got some more questions coming in here. Let's see. What are some of the drills that you put into your practices?
Number one, you know, I talked a little bit about positionless basketball and what we talk about having playmakers and monsters. But in reality, what that means is I don't care if you're 5'8" or 6'8". I think all our guys got to be able to dribble, pass, and shoot. So we spend a lot of time on things that a lot of high school coaches or high school players don't think they should be doing at the college level. But if you went to see a winning program at the college level, they're working on passing. They're working on shooting. They're working on ball handling, all within the drills. So you're going to see us work on shooting all the time. Like, I think we've got to be able to shoot when we're tired. We got to be able to make shots. You know, I was listening to something the other day. You know, Mondre always gets on me about the notebook that I carry, which has become my phone with my notes. I believe it was Greg Campy of Oakland, University of Oakland. And he said, if you can hold a team under 35% from three, you've got a great chance to win. But if you hold them under 32%, more than likely you're going to win that game. So the flip side of that is we've got to shoot better than that. So it means I'm recruiting guys who can shoot, but it also means I've got to get guys opportunities in practice, in individual workouts where we can put up shots. So shooting is a big part of our practices. We're going to compete in everything that we're going to do. Every drill, every shooting drill is a competing drill. If they don't get whatever we're looking for, then we're going to get on the line. That's how we compete. Coach Mondre has been at my practices. He knows the towels and what the towels represent. You know, if you lose a shell drill, if you lose the 3-on-3 in the hole drill, then you go hit those towels. If you get beat 3 times in a row and we going 1-on-1 or 2-on-2 and that's your group, then you just go hit those towels and come back. And those towels, not no joke. Full court down with your upper body, full court down with your lower body. That wears on it. But now it gets you to really want to compete and win. And if we can compete, I got to recruit guys that want to compete. I got to recruit winners. And so that's going to carry over to my practices.
Those towels are no joke. I felt bad, but don't think that ain't one of the things that I took from watching your practice. I surely did. Hey, we know where the chicken spots are now. Curly Q's and Armburg, great for a hamburger and shake. Okay. I need, hey, listen, you can send all of the food places to my DMs because I need a list. I'm going to eat everywhere before it's all said and done. Denmark, South Carolina, I will be present. I'll be around. Don't think I won't check in. Coach, let's get to it. We're going to talk about, you had a heck of a night last night. You got commitments rolling in already. You're doing what we all here in the Georgia area already knew you could do. The governor is out and getting people to say yes to Voorhees. Do you want to talk about some of the great guys that you have coming in for next season?
Well, we've got 2 of them coming in for this season. I mean, I think some people don't realize that we still got to recruit for this year since we're not starting to play to January. So let's start with a transfer guy that we're getting from Lincoln. He's from the Chicago area, Joel Davis. He committed to us last night. A kid we're really high on that we think can. We talk about shooting, and what you see in these clips is he really has he has it locked and loaded and ready to go.
Very good stroke. I like what I saw from the kid in the highlights, Coach. Unselfish as well.
Yep. Kid just wants to be better, wants the opportunity. Definitely wanted the opportunity to play for HBCU. When I saw he was available, it was real simple, to be honest with you. Again, if you know anything about me and what we can do when I have shooters, that kid, he'll eat.
Big, strong-looking kid too, Coach.
Yep.
That seemed like that was a thing. Strong, very strong bodies that can play at this level right away, and kids that could make shots.
Because that was the one thing, especially for this year, was getting kids, number one, that fit into our culture of what we're about, which means I had to spend a lot of time, even in these first 2 weeks, of really getting to know the kids that we were trying to bring in. And what I mean, what's their character like? So I had to do a lot of background, not just talking to the kid, talking to their parents, talking to, AAU coaches or maybe high school coaches or people that were around them, trainers. I mean, I've talked to any and everybody to make sure I knew exactly what I was getting. But we want, there's a saying I heard, first time I heard it, I think was from Josh Paston. And he said, we want to get old and stay old. Now, I love that. But please understand me, we will recruit high school players here. I know there are some NAIA programs that don't, but I think we have to have a balance of high school guys, a balance of JUCO guys, a balance of transfer guys. So Joel was a great example of a transfer guy who can come in right away and help us. Gives us size, being 6'4", being able to shoot the basketball. We've got 3 other guys on this team who can really stroke it. Terrell Wyndham, Taiwan Bowie, and a freshman coming in from the Augusta area, Amarion Bird, as well as, a guy that can put it in the basket, and Zach White. So bringing in another more experienced guy kind of helps them, especially with how fast we want to play. You know how I play, Mondre. So playing 3 guys who are maybe technically guards doesn't hurt me at all.
Probably helps. Hey, I hope they're ready, man. I hope they're ready.
The next guy is actually a high school guy. He's at a prep school right now, but he'll be coming to us as well in January. Mikael Murray out of Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
A lot of length. I saw some athleticism here.
6'6", kind of under the radar. So he's one of those kids that you got to find that's under the radar, that you got to develop, but has an opportunity to be a monster. Love how he competes.
Yeah, got a lot of highlights of him eating around that glass.
So obviously something that we can use, obviously again, being a playmaker, I think he has the ability to not just play around the rim, but can step out as well. So I really like that out of him.
He reached back pretty far and got that last one. You gotta love that. We got a couple more questions before we get to the last, to your third recruit. We got a couple more questions of what are you looking for in a player at the high school level to receive an offer from you? I think this is a great question.
I'm trying to project what the player can become, number one, because obviously at the NAIA level, you're going up against men. Like you can maybe going up against a 24-year-old man at your position. So I've got to project, will this guy compete? How tough will he be? And how much can I develop him? And then once I look at those things, I got to say, does he fit into what I want to do? Which is he long? Is he athletic? Can he shoot it? Can I work with him? Can he get better at that? So he's got to have character. I'm looking at academics, especially with anybody, but the high school level, those academics can really help us in terms of how we maneuver stuff around with our athletic scholarship situation. What's his work ethic? It's unfortunate that sometimes we walk into gyms as college coaches, and even when I was, an assistant at Division I level, and you watch kids who are supposedly the best person in the gym, yet they don't compete and have the work ethic to be the best person in the gym, or they're cutting corners. That's not the way. I don't care if I'm Coach Cabral Huff at Voorhees College or I'm Coach John Calipari at the University of Kentucky. That's a sure way to get a college coach to not recruit you. Do they have a translatable skill set? I think we say this a lot, but we got to understand it. Can he score at the three different levels, especially if he's a wing or guard? Can he score around the rim versus bigger guys? Can he score, right at the 15-foot mark, and can he score from three? Like, I think a lot of people are not understanding the three-point line got pushed back this year at all levels. So those threes that look so easy aren't as easy anymore. So we've got to understand it. And what's their ceiling? Like, I think a lot of times when I look at high school guys, I'm looking at their ceiling. Like Mikhail, the ceiling for him is so high. That was the reason why we had to have him. So those are things that we're looking at: talent, energy, skill, toughness, those kind of things.
It's a dad of a pretty good player, pretty good darn basketball player. Is DJ Potts hurt? Another great question. We're getting this a lot, Coach, especially from coaches. Who are the assistant coaches? Are you locked in? Are you finished?
It'll be announced soon.
Talk soon.
Talk soon. There you go. Talk soon.
Talk soon. Talk soon. No more questions in here. Let's get to your third recruit of last night. And these guys just came in last night, Coach.
I've been working hard, and what makes this one that much different is to get a kid of this caliber who, non-COVID wise, is a kid who's probably playing low major Division I or higher, definitely Division II. But the fact that we were able to get him in the early signing period to commit to us for next year, we're talking about fall of 2021.
21. This kid is going to be.
I'm ecstatic. Is 6'4" guard Christian Ford of East Paulding High School.
Going to be incredible when you get him on campus. Absolutely incredible. It's another big physical kid. And we see what he does there. Can flat out stroke it. A kid can shoot, Coach, when he walks away from it as soon as he lets it go. That kid can really shoot.
Right.
He's walking away from those as soon as it leaves his hands. Like, he knows those are going in.
Like right there, that's just something, that toughness that he brings that, you can't teach that.
That is Jabari Smith, the number 4 player in the country that he was guarding on that possession. gets to the basket, passes it, shoots it.
Makes the right basketball plays. I think if there's anything, I know somebody asked, what do I like? Can you make the right basketball play? And sometimes the right basketball play is not always scoring. Like, kid took a charge.
Blocking shots.
Blocking a shot. Going to get a rebound. Being tough.
Great pass there.
And that's something else. I know you talked about it. I like guys who are able to read screens. Those are things that we're going to do in our program. There's a lot of ball screen, a lot of double drag stuff.
So fluid. As he continues to develop, Coach, like you said, that's a very, very high ceiling for this kid, Christian Ford. It's a great day to be a Tiger, isn't it?
Hey, it was a great night. It's a great day to be a Tiger. Those three guys you see at the top of this board here, it says "Welcome to the Hees." That's what we're about right there. And you're talking about great young men. You know, yes, they can help us on the basketball court, but we're talking about three great young men right there.
100%. Well, Coach, we've reached about the end of our time for our first episode. It's great to kick this off. I feel like we got things started off on the right foot. It was great to get 3 commitments in last night to get things off and rolling at Voorhees. It goes without saying, congratulations to you, Coach. I don't know anybody that deserved it more than you did or worked harder than you did to go out and get it. We're going to definitely miss you here in Georgia, but you got enough Georgia kids that we won't miss you when we see you.
Our schedule isn't complete yet, but just understand we will be in Georgia probably 3 times this season.
That's great. That's great. And I love it. You and I have talked a lot about, HBCUs, and I know what it means to you being a Morehouse grad. To be the head coach at an HBCU program. You know what it means to me and my affinity for HBCU programs and what I think athletics can do for HBCU universities. And also we talked a lot about, what NAIA basketball really is. And that a lot of people don't understand the opportunity and the level of playing NAIA basketball. A lot of kids go on after playing to go make money. So playing this game. So tremendous opportunity all the way around.
If you go back and look at the annals of NAIA and you start seeing names like Dennis Rodman and Scottie Pippen and names like that, or even to the fact, I think I put it on my Instagram, but the fact that the first person to ever wear the number 23 for the Chicago Bulls was not Michael Jordan. But it was a little player from little old Denmark, South Carolina. So if you can play here, you can play NAIA, you can play anywhere. Do not think you just have to play Division I to use the game of basketball to make money for yourself and your family. There is so much. There's so much history down here. When I talk about the founder of the school, Miss Evelyn Wright, who, they call Voorhees the Little Tuskegee. At first when I heard that, I'm like, as a Morehouse grad, that was our rival, Tuskegee. So I didn't, but to understand that how she was impacted by Booker T. Washington and how, the first time she tried to found Voorhees somewhere else, they burned it down. So let's really think about that. Wow. Let's really think about how this school, this college is so important to what we're trying to do, not just here in Denmark, South Carolina, but in the world. When we have great alumni, like I said, we got to get that alumni base behind us. We've had great success. Men and women's basketball has had great success. Baseball, If you don't know anything, just go look up Voorhees and see what we've done. We've got some great things going on down here in little old Denmark, South Carolina.
Well, that's our show. Hopefully we'll get to do one live from little old Denmark, South Carolina at some point.
Yes, sir.
But congratulations again, Coach. Like I said, nobody that I know worked harder than you or were more deserving of you of that opportunity. I'm looking forward to what you're going to do at Voorhees. I know that winning has followed you everywhere that you've gone. So why not Voorhees? Looking forward to it, Coach. We appreciate your time.
Thank you, everyone, for coming on. And next week.
That's right. We'll be right back next week, 6 p.m. We'll be right back for episode 2 of Voorhees Tiger Vision. I'm your host, Madre Allen, here with the coach, and we're signing off.